Welcome to another episode of GeekOutdoors.com. So last month, Fuji announced the XT-200. And at that time that they announced this, I really felt like this was nearly the perfect camera, especially if you are a YouTube content creator. And then when you consider the base price of $700, that is just a great value, especially considering everything that Fuji provides. So I really feel that this is going to be a bestseller for them. However, just recently, they unleashed the XT-4, the follow-up to the very popular XT-3, and this is basically the big brother to the XT-200. And I really feel that this is going to put Fuji right up there with some of the best cameras at this price range for a hybrid solution. So let me go over the things that I really feel make this a camera that is going to be perfect for a lot of people, especially if you are a YouTube content creator. And it all starts with the flippy screen. This is one thing that I feel is a must for everybody who is a YouTube content creator. And even though not everybody might need this, especially if you are primarily a photographer, just having it on there gives you so much flexibility, and it just makes things a lot easier if you are a YouTube content creator. So really hats off for Fuji for making this a pretty much a staple of all their recent releases. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, of course, their autofocus. So they use a hybrid system, which is contrast and phase detect, which is very important for video. And every iteration of their autofocus system keeps getting better and better, and it's very reliable. Another thing that the Fuji camera has is this in-body stabilization, 6.5 stops, and if you pair it with a lens that is also stabilized, it's going to give you excellent image stabilization. Now, even though I don't think it's going to be as good as, say, maybe a Panasonic or Olympus, I still think it's going to be better than other competitors like Sony. And then another thing that I really am glad that they put on here is it's weather sealed. So I think that's one thing that the XT-200 didn't have. So that just gives it additional durability, and then it allows you to just take your camera out there without having to worry all the time whether or not it's going to get damaged. So I really am glad that Fuji has put that on there. Other things that this camera has going for it is 240 frames per second slow motion at 1080p, and you also still get autofocus with that. So I think this is one feature that not very many cameras have at this price range. So really big thumbs up for Fuji for doing that. And also, I think this also can do a 10-bit at 422, especially if you actually have some type of external monitor through the HDMI. And that's going to be a great thing for people who love doing post work and color grading, and they definitely want all the resolution available to them. And I really don't feel like this has too many negatives. And honestly, I really can't think of a big negative at all, except for the fact that, you know, very similar to their other cameras and most cameras, they have a recording limit. And so basically, if you were recording this at 60 frames per second, it is going to be 20 minutes. And that's one thing that I forgot to mention. This has 4K at 60 frames per second. So that is a great feature to have, and it really sets it apart from its little brother. And so, yeah, so 30 minutes if you're not doing 60 frames per second of 4K at 1080p. So let's just say 30 minutes and 20 minutes. So that's a great thing. I think for most people, that's going to be good enough. I would have liked to have unlimited recording, but honestly, you know, with everything that you're getting here, APS-C sensor, 240 frames per second, weather sealing, and also the Fuji look. It has more profiles than the XT-200. People love this color science of Fuji, and also the build quality looks just excellent. And so with all of these things here, I really feel that it's going to give other competitors something to be worried about. Now, there are definitely other competitors in this price range, and I still feel that for this price, which is going to be $1,700 for the body only, and if you get it with the lens, it's going to push it up to $2,000 and also $2,100 if you get a 16 to 80 millimeter lens. I still think this is a great price, but at this price range, you know, what else do you have? For the best value in domain names, check out Namecheap, where you could get a domain for an entire year for less than $10, plus get WhoisGuard privacy protection for free. For more information, check out the affiliate link in the description area below. Well, I still feel that the OMD EM5 Mark III, even though it is a Micro Four Thirds, I think it's still a better value across the board. It gives you great autofocus. It's weather sealed. It's got the flippy screen. It's got all these things going for it, and about the only negative that it has is the fact that it has a micro four thirds, if that's going to be a negative for you, because the Fuji camera actually has an APS-C sensor and it's definitely less expensive. But looking at other cameras around the $1,700 price range, we have the Sony a6600, which Sony is just, they've just been doing such an amazing job, especially with their autofocus. But the main things I think that's holding Sony back is the whole flippy screen thing. I know this has a flip up screen. I really feel if Sony would just put in a flip out side screen, that they would dominate, because everything else that they have is just amazing. But then you also have the Canon EOS R. Some people do really enjoy this camera. I don't know if it's going to be the best value. I still feel the Fuji camera is going to give you more. And then we also have the Nikon Z6. And of course, we still have the tried and true Panasonic GH5. It's oldie, but it still offers so many features. But unfortunately, as with all Panasonic Lumix cameras, the autofocus just sucks. It's just not reliable at all. And so going back to my thoughts of the Fuji XT-4, this is probably going to be the perfect camera for a lot of people. It checks so many boxes. It's very high quality. It's got everything that Fuji is known for, and it gives you the features that you want and need without really holding anything back. Besides the whole unlimited recording, I don't really see any negative with this camera. And so those are my thoughts on the Fuji XT-4. I'm waiting to see what happens with Panasonic. I don't think they're gonna fix the autofocus, because I really do love my Panasonic G85. About the only thing that's lacking is autofocus, and still to this day I still feel like Panasonic gives you the most features for the money. And so I'm waiting to see what the GH6 has to offer, and if it doesn't provide the great autofocus, which I don't think it will, then more than likely I'm going to be looking towards the XT4, because it's going to be in the same price range as probably the GH6. So this is probably going to be definitely a better value. And like I said, about the only negative I could see with this is not having unlimited recording. So if you actually had any thoughts on the Fuji XT-4 or any other cameras that you think is the quote-unquote perfect camera, be sure to leave that in the comments area below. And if you did want to see more of my camera tips, tricks, thoughts, I will leave that in the description as well. So as always, if you did get value out of these videos, be sure to share, like, and subscribe. Hey geeks, if you are a creative geek like me and you wanted to learn how to create content on YouTube and other places on the internet, then check out my Go Content Creators group, where you'll get access to additional videos and content for all the creative geeks out there. And the best part of it is, all of this is free. Simply head over to the link below, check out my page, and sign up for my Go Content Creators group. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the other side.